get underway because we're almost a quarter of the way through. How do we want to do this? Do we want to end still right at 9 o'clock, or do we want to go till 9:15? What's everyone's vote there?
I have tutoring at 11 my time, but I mean, it's up to everybody else. It's not just my needs. But what do you
I would say let's still try and end on time, even though we're starting a little bit late. But we also should set up a time to do a doohickeys discussion and really get that lined up.
Okay. Last time we did a doohickeys discussion, we met the next morning at 8 o'clock. Do we want to try and do that tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock?
Nathan, you're the man on this one. What do you want to do?
Is 8 the best for everybody?
It works fine for me. Actually, hold on. I'm looking at my calendar. I actually can't do that tomorrow. I could do later, but not. I would need. I would need 9 or later tomorrow.
I have a thought that we're already here. Maybe if we stayed an extra 5 to 10 minutes after whoever can. Kaylin, I know that you can't. But we actually, last time when we coordinated, we took a full hour to set up the doohickeys thing. So maybe not. I don't want to go another hour after this hour. So maybe we should schedule another time.
What about
Thursday or Friday?
Let me see. Thursday is the 1st. Maybe. I think that could work. I gotta.
I actually can't that morning either. Sorry.
Can we do evenings? Oh, actually,
I could do later in the day, but I book my appointments in the mornings usually. So.
I know. I do too. Friday, everybody, or do we have to have it this week? I got to get on and look at our schedule and see when everything's
We
due.
don't necessarily have to have it this week. It's not due until, I believe, the 12th. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody who may be remembering better.
I have to just look at I just need to look at all my schedule. I just haven't looked this morning because it wasn't working. You want to work next Monday, maybe at 10 o'clock?
Yeah, it's due June 12th. So that morning, that Monday, the 12th is when it's due. So.
How much time do you want? Do you want it done a week early? So next Monday is the 31st. Would that work if we all met next Monday at 8 a.m.?
I think you're on a different calendar. Wednesday's the 31st. Tomorrow's the 31st of May.
I was. The 5th. I was looking at the wrong. Is that too late because it is due on the 12th? Well, Erin, you say when you're available, I guess. That's probably the
Well, I'm not the one in charge of putting it together this time. It's going to be Nathan. So I'm okay to meet, but my flexibility is not terrific for the next couple of days. But other than that, we'll just take it as it comes. So.
What about Thursday? Later?
I could do later in the day Thursday. I would need 9:30 or later Thursday.
I can anytime.
And I am giving you mountain time.
Yeah.
I'm subtracting the difference, so.
I can't from 10 to 11 mountain time, but I can any other time.
So Connie, you said you can't?
I can't from 10 to 11.
Okay. What does Friday morning look like, guys?
What looks good other than 10 to 11 on Thursday? Because you said later. Does that mean
I can
like
do
afternoon?
I can do any time after 9.
Okay. So Nathan, what time were you thinking Thursday?
Maybe 9:30.
9:30. Okay, cool. I can do that.
I could do that.
I can possibly do that. I have to look at my tutoring schedule. I got a new tutoring schedule this week because, yeah.
Okay.
I'll text everyone.
So, good. Okay, so Thursday.
Try 9:30 on Thursday, but maybe not.
Okay. So will you?
Everybody just pencil it in, and then if it's not going to happen, Kaylin can let us know if that's not going to work for her tutoring. But other than that, we're all good?
I think so. I'm trying to get on
What
my
was-
email where I booked my things, but it's not
Time
letting me.
and day?
Arlie, what did you say?
When did we decide? What date?
We were talking about this coming Thursday, the 1st at 9:30 Mountain Time.
Okay.
Let me see here.
Does that work for you, Nolan?
Yeah, sorry, I thought I hit the mic. I have class that I would have to leave for around 10 or so, but I'll be there at 9:30.
Well, I have a 10 o'clock appointment too, so I think let's shoot for a real tight appointment at 9:30 and just go over it. If Nathan, if you have an agenda and everything we need to check off and everything, then I think we can just fly through it.
Okay.
We need to break down the assignments and
I would say everybody, since we know what the 3 problems are that we have to focus on, we have to do, let's see if I can find it again really quick. We have to focus on recruiting, career development, and workplace safety. So if everyone comes up with at least 2 solutions for each, then we can narrow it to the 4 and then make the assignments really quick. What do you think about that?
Cool.
That's good.
I already have in mind that I'd like to do development because that's what today's on. So that would
That's
be good.
true. You spent a lot of time focused on it, huh?
Yeah, in fact, cool. So Nathan, does that sound good?
I came in and out, but I'm sure it's great.
Okay, good. So Thursday at 9:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Thanks, everyone. Okay, well, let's see. For today, let's go ahead and get started. Arlie, thank you. I asked Arlie if she would send out the link to everyone and also record. Arlie, are we already recording? Should we start and stop, or it starts already, right? We're in recording.
Yes, I started recording already.
That's okay. I think we took care of some important business just now, so that's good. Good. In fact, we took care of the doohickeys planning now instead of later, so we can log out right at 10. So, well, good. I'll go ahead and get started with an introduction of what we're doing. We're discussing the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago's mentoring program, and that was the reading. The instructions that we had were, in preparation for the group discussion, ponder the following questions so that you can better contribute to the discussion. What were the primary reasons for the success of the pilot program, and how should the bank move forward with its mentoring program? So with both of those things in mind, we just have the typical meeting outline where we have questions, and I'll just adapt it as we go. So I wanted to start with the history. Let's see, there was just the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago is one of the 12 districts that cover the United States, each with a president and board of directors. And what happened was in 1994, Michael Moscow, he became the new president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. And he, if you remember, he found the culture of the organization to be kind of low morale and very authoritarian, and he said that it was a formal culture. And so when he took over as CEO, he did some research and had them do some analysis to see what could be done. He did a culture survey with the employees. And this is what he found. He found out that he wanted to do a fresh look. There's 2 paragraphs I just briefly want to read so that we're all on the same page. He said, in essence, data from the culture survey depicted an organization which was appropriately conservative and emphasized productivity, had a loyal and dedicated workforce, and placed increasing emphasis on customer focus and communication. But the survey also depicted a bureaucratic, paternalistic organization which focused on the short term, was sometimes overly conservative, did not adequately manage the performance of its employees, engendered distrust, and did not empower staff to raise or solve problems. And so in 1996, after doing that analysis and establishing what the culture was, Moscow decided that he wanted to create what was called a fresh look. And this is what the proposed. He hoped to create an environment that fostered innovation and open communication and would make the bank an employer of choice for the best people. Fresh Look was organized around 6 core areas, and these are the areas: leadership, communication, empowerment, performance, management, skill development, and customer focus. And the bank's management committee took responsibility for the culture change, directly overseeing the work of the 6 committees. And then they decided that if it was successful, Moscow felt that the Chicago Federal Reserve Bank would become a standard of excellence in the system over the next 7 to 10 years. And this is why we're studying this, because we're looking at what they did and how they achieved success with it. And then we're going to discuss a lot of the things that happened within there today. They began to explore the idea of developing a mentoring program, and they sought feedback from employees. They interviewed consultants and presented a proposal to the management committee for a formal mentoring program. And then on page 6, it talks about what they did to design and implement the program once they decided on it. And oh, I'm sorry, let's see, page 4. This was their objective and focus. And then I'll be done reading and we'll get right into the questions. So for the design and implementation of this program, they decided the program should address inclusion, access, skill, and career development, and communication. Additionally, they decided that the program would be entirely voluntary and last for 1-year time period with the option to continue for those who participate. The team members dispersed to begin mulling over several questions regarding the target population, the minimum criteria for participation, and the size and scope of the program. And then they decided that it was the employees who did not have access to developmental opportunities that they decided to focus on. In other words, the employees that needed it the most and could declare that they needed and wanted to have personal development and improvement, those are the ones that they included with the program. The ones who participated had to be in good standing. They had to have an effective or higher performance review. They had to express interest in the program, and they had to devote 4 hours per month for 1 year to the program. So anyway, there was a lot that went on with getting it off the ground. They marketed it. They selected the participants. They did a matching process. They trained the participants. There was something called circle mentoring that was included. And then it goes into explain to us what happened in the first 9 months, which was basically the interaction that happened with the mentoring program. So now we're going to discuss the mentoring program. And the points of discussion that it asks us to talk about is to begin by, I'm supposed to ask you all to list the positive results of this pilot program. In other words, I've given the history and the objective and the focus and all that, and now we're going to jump right to the positive results that you saw happen when the employees, when the mentors and mentees participated. So does someone want to answer that?
I don't mind. Can you make the question just a little bit shorter? Sorry, I was
Yeah, just
information.
what was the positive results of this program, of this mentoring program? What did the bank start to see happen?
Let me see.
Wasn't one of it improving morale?
Yeah, good. What way? What started to happen, Nathan?
Let's see. People were able to give back
Good.
in a way that they hadn't been able to before. It's kind of what I saw.
Mhm. Yeah, they
People have promotions.
good, really good, Kaylin. That's great. Good. Let's list some more positive results. Kaylin, do you have more thoughts on that?
I can go with you. Like, so I saw that there were who actually had job satisfaction, and even those who found that if they were thinking about leaving the company, they decided to stay because
Really
they really
good.
felt mentored and that there were opportunities for them to grow.
Good.
Yeah, going off of what Arlie said, they just felt like their managers and their mentors actually cared about them and wanted them to be able to learn and progress within the company and feel like they were appreciated so that they would want to stay. And so that kind of created a new level of intensity in their work, as well as like what Nathan was talking about with their morale increasing.
Good. Thank you. Good. Well, let's talk about the reasons. The next question says, list the reasons for the positive results. We talked about how they felt that they were appreciated, that they were cared about, the morale improved, but what were the reasons? Why did this happen?
I felt like they felt like someone cared about them. And when anyone, they were investing in their own employees. And so I really like that they were, and then the CEO and the managers were involved in showing their support for it. And so that was really important. Not just a program that's for somebody else, you know, it helped focus on them.
Great. Anyone else? What are some more reasons? It's good. It's really good when a company invests in their employees. And one of the things that I thought, one of the reasons that came to mind for me of why there was such good success is because there was a good plan and a good organization that was set up by the HR department. Amy Rubenstein, she originally started out that she was going to work this part-time, and she started to see that it demanded more of her time. But there was real structure in how this program was created. They had created not a board of, they created a group, a consult group that could come in and plan what they needed. It just had great structure. I think that that was a good reason for their success. Some of the things that it lists that were reasons for the success is that there was a voluntary nature of the program. The people who participated had volunteered. They wanted to participate. There was a thorough matching process. This was another thing. You know, they spent a lot of time matching people up. They didn't just say, oh, let's put this person with this person. They actually took some time to do what they called the human factor. Do you remember I'm talking about the human factor, where they included interests and skills and talents that could benefit each other, benefit the people that matched up. Oh yeah, and then it says here Rubenstein's personal involvement was the reason for the success. moving on to the next part, it says, what else might have helped the program go well? Do any of you have any thoughts on that?
Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yeah, just briefly. Is there anything else that you thought of that might have made the program go well besides what we just got done saying?
No, I think you all
Good.
the factors.
Okay. It asks us, it says, which one of these factors was the most important? And would this work in other organizations besides the bank?
I don't know if I could pinpoint any one thing that was the most important, but they organized it so well that, can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was frozen a minute ago and I had to log out and log back in, and then I was talking and I was like, I don't know if anybody could hear me again. Yeah, I've tried talking like 8 times and I'm like, this isn't working. Okay.
I wonder where you went. I was like,
You were really quiet there for a minute, Erin.
Sorry. Yeah, Arlie ended up texting me. She's like, are you online? I'm like, I can hear and see you all, but I wasn't there. Okay. So,
I got too quiet. I was like, what is happening?
sorry. I don't know if I could pinpoint exactly what made it the most successful, but I absolutely think that this would work in most organizations. Having people who are interested in positive growth potential in their jobs and having people who are willing to help other people grow. That's one of the things most companies are looking for, because it absolutely does increase job satisfaction. And so I think it could work across a variety of industries.
Great.
I thought that was important. I love that it was volunteer, because when stuff is force fed to you in the workplace, it's the worst. Like Christmas dinners when no one wants to be there. I thought that was important, and I thought the matching was really important, trying to get someone that was a good match.
Cool. Really good. Great. Well, let's move on to the next section, and this is about the mentoring discussion. And I'm supposed to ask you, how can mentoring help employees with career development?
I think mentoring is a great tool, especially for those who don't know exactly what they want, and if they have someone else like opinion or someone else's help, I think that it'd be easier to narrow down exactly what you want career. So I think it's a great tool to have a mentor.
What is it about it, Arlie, that makes it a good tool?
I think maybe just talking to someone and expressing exactly how you feel. It's someone that has who is in there with you, but not like, but has another view. I think that's really helpful.
One of the things that you mentioned, Arlie, I think is very telling. You said very often people don't know what they want. And I think that's absolutely true. I think we just kind of go to work every day and we just kind of go through the motions of what our job duties are, but we don't necessarily have an aim in mind. And when you have to sit down with somebody and say, okay, these are my goals, and you actually have to articulate what you want to happen, then progress can actually happen. And having a sounding board and having somebody to work with gets you on the right track to making progress.
That's a great comment, Erin. Thank you. And as we're all talking too, I'm taking notes so that I can remember some of the important things that we touched on. So if I look away or whatever, I'm just writing over here. Good. What other approaches or programs might help employees to develop their careers besides mentoring?
I don't know if it was in this class's reading or a different class that I have. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is tuition reimbursement programs. Companies are realizing that when they are willing to pay for the schooling for applicable classes, that they have higher employee retention, and that the people are, you know, improving in their job skills and then seeking promotions as well. So it all benefits the company for what is very little monetary outlay in the long run.
Really cool. Good. Any other thoughts on other programs that would be helpful for career development? Okay, let's see. Have any of you had experiences with mentoring, whether it was formal or informal? Do you want to talk about your experience, the benefits, the obstacles, the downsides?
My husband, when he started school here, they gave him a mentor, and it sounds like something silly because for professional whatever, but it was really helpful. And then he helped someone, and it just is so helpful because they said, you know, here's a book you can use and do this, study this instead of this for this class. It's just so helpful to have someone there. I feel like tutoring is kind of like a mentor for some classes, and I really appreciate that here at BYUI that they do that.
Yeah.
Not for this class, but
We're each other's mentoring support group.
Aaron. Aaron, by the way, I have information for you after the discussion for the class we discussed.
Okay.
Well, it's neat when people are there for each other, you know. As we were learning about this, it made me think a lot about visiting teaching and home teaching and how the church has set that up and the importance of it. You know, there's a lot of inspiration that goes into it. We'll go right back to the workplace, but that's what I thought of too. I thought, you know, the church is a strong organization and it has this going on, and sometimes people take advantage of it and some people just push it under the rug and say, oh, you know, it's not that important. But some really great key insights I've received from there come directly from visiting teaching and home teaching, and someone was a mentor to me. But in the workforce, who else wants to talk about a mentoring experience that they've had? Nathan, Nolan, have either of you had some mentoring experiences with your work?
Not at work, but at school at LDS Business College. All the teachers there aren't full-time. They're all part-time. They all have their own jobs and businesses. And when you're looking to start a business, they know the most, and they were willing to. There was a class where I just met with one of them every week and got to know him and got to know the process and what he thought about how to do it, and it was just invaluable, his knowledge. So that's my experience.
How did you feel? You said it was invaluable, but how did you feel having someone to go to?
It was really nice. It felt like in a normal situation you would be totally lost. And it just you didn't feel lost is the main thing when it came down.
Really good, thank you. Well, we're going to go to the next section of our discussion, analyzing the program. And let's see. I'm going to ask you all, what would it be like if there was a less formal mentoring program? Would a less formal mentoring program be even better, where mentees are free to find whatever mentors they need to help them in progress in their careers, rather than being assigned to someone? Would it be better to have assignments or better not to have assignments?
I'm going to jump in on this one. I think if it's less organized and it's on a person themselves to seek out and find a mentor, it's a much more difficult process. Now, you might find somebody that you admire and like at work and go to them and say, hey, you know, can we talk about this? Can we discuss things? But I think it's much more likely that it's not going to get off the ground and not going to make progress and not going to be successful. I think one of the things that helped this case study project example be successful is because she took the time to find out information and give them people that they had things in common so that they could feel comfortable with each other and have things to talk about outside of strictly work. And because there was a level of comfort there, there was a trust that could be built very, very quickly. And I think that was part of its success. So having worked in the workforce and knowing, you know, if there's not a formal mentoring program set up and you're just trying to seek out somebody to help you out, it's extremely difficult to do.
Yeah. Thanks. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Well, I want to agree with Erin because I agree. I feel that if it was so informal that people wouldn't really take that time to mentor or to seek mentors, but because it's so formal, I feel that people are matched and maybe they have some similarities, but they're different people. So maybe they can you'll be paired with somebody you would never thought about, but maybe that person is exactly the person that you need to talk to expand I don't know, your thoughts or your career. So I like that it is formal.
It's kind of like a pass. It's like a ticket to go and access someone that maybe you might not have had the chance to. Like Nathan, you talked about how your instructor, you felt like you could approach your instructor because you had that relationship. This kind of and having assignments, people could go to each other and have a reason to, and not be just like, hey, can I talk to you? It's like, let's talk and let's really, can I really ask you these questions? The next question asks why. Why would a company want to create a formal mentoring program rather than allowing it to form more naturally? And I think we answered that question. And then what might have been improved in the Federal Reserve Bank program because of this mentoring program?
Are you asking what could be improved about the mentoring program itself, or what further benefits it could have?
Yeah, what benefits did it have to the federal bank program?
Well, kind of going off of your last question and leading into this one, I think that a lot of times if employees are given the option to choose their own mentors, they might go for someone that they're just really chill with and really friendly with, rather than someone that can teach them a lot. But by having it as the more formal program, where they were paired up with people who had similar goals and things, then those people were able to teach them what they needed to know to progress in the way that the company wanted. And therefore, that was able to kind of lead more of the employees in the direction that they personally needed for their own improvement and advancement, but also try and prepare like the younger generation to help lead in the company, which I think was a benefit for them.
That's a great summary. Did someone else have a comment?
I thought it was interesting. One of the things that they mentioned at the beginning of the case study was that it's not a particularly high-paying place. And it's interesting when companies are not necessarily the highest salary givers. They have to make up for it in other ways. And so I think that was part of the morale problem. When you're in a job that's not very high paying, you feel stuck and you feel helpless. And so one of the things that the mentoring program did was it helped people feel like they had some mobility. And You know, some of them could have and probably did choose to leave and move on to other things, but it also mentioned that they had improved retention because the people felt better about what they were getting out of their job other than just a paycheck. It helped keep people there and helped keep them satisfied.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the next section. It talks. It kind of asks about the program itself, the mentoring program. Why do you think less people signed up for the second round?
They didn't advertise it. They were relying on word of mouth, and they didn't let it be widely advertised that they were doing it again.
Good.
Yeah, the first time they had all these like campaigns and like getting everybody excited, and yeah.
Do you think there was as much planning that went into the second round? Do you think they kind of just used the first round as a foundation? Maybe there wasn't as much, you know, adaptation changes maybe that needed to be changed with the survey. I think it said somewhere that later on there was a comprehensive survey that they got the feedback, and then it was either after the second or the third program that there was more interest. What could the company have done to get more applicants?
I think they needed to do it like they did the first go round. They needed to have the information sessions and advertise it, but also use the testimonials of those who had been through the program and had felt it benefited them. It's always better to have more interest and have to turn people away than to not have a successful program because you were coasting. And I feel like that's what they were doing for that second go round.
It doesn't ask this question, but this question came to mind for me. Do you think it was a good idea for them to turn away applicants? Would it have been better to have a cut, or would it have been better not to have a cut and take everybody? What's the benefit of having a set amount and not going past that? Because they had an excess on the first round, and then they had a deficit on the second round. The third round, they kind of got back around, but what's the benefit of a cut?
Well, one of the things that they mentioned is that they were following up with these people regularly. And so that had to be part of their consideration is, you know, if you've got 50 people that you have to contact, you know, twice a month or 3 times a month, that's a big job all by itself. So I can see why they wanted to keep it a little more contained. But if they wanted to keep the same focus and function, recruit another leader or two to help with the follow-up and help with the implementing the program and keeping it running well. But there's also part of business that scarcity increases demand. And so having a cutoff, I think, can often lead to more people wanting the program.
Yeah, good point. Good. This question is similar. What should they do with the mentoring program moving forward? Should they expand it, or should they keep it small?
I think they should keep it as is. I agree with Erin. I felt like if they would have too much on their plate. They're trying to get quality program out there, and so by people's success in the program, they will reapply the next year easily, you know.
Good.
So they could take them in first consideration.
How can they encourage people who really need this program and need mentoring to get involved?
Advertising.
Yeah, earlier Erin talked about having testimonials of the people who had been through the program. And I think that specifically would be really helpful for promoting if they use that in the informational sessions. Actually have the people who had already been through the program come and like talk about it, and then maybe provide some kind of incentive for those people who had been through the program to share about it.
Cool. Really good. Thank you. You brought up a good point, and this just came to mind to me when you said testimonials. It kind of reminded me of testimony meetings, and you know, when we get up and share our testimonies about the gospel, sometimes it sparks a little something in somebody's heart, and as these employees are seeing other people talk about what they need, what they got out of the program, maybe they can see, oh yeah, I need that, and people can see for themselves instead of being told. You know, a lot of times we don't want to hear someone say, oh, you need a skill development program, you know, and you know, we don't want to hear someone tell us that, but if they hear a testimonial, then maybe it'll spark in them a desire to want to participate.
One of the things that I thought about is possibly within the mentoring program, go to the individual managers and say, choose somebody from your group that where you see a lot of potential, somebody that you think could benefit from this, and then not necessarily have the manager approach them and say, I think you need this program, but you could go to them and say, your manager feels like you have amazing potential, and I think that this program could really benefit you, and kind of issue a personal invitation. Because, you know, leading with a compliment and leading with, this could be great for you. Have you thought about this? And issuing an invitation, I think, is a really good option.
That's a great idea, Erin. Thank you. In fact, I wondered about that. How could you approach people and say, hey, you need this, you know, and you could benefit from this, and that's a great way to start soft and have it be a real a thought out process of how to extend that invitation. So great point, Erin. Thank you. We just have one or two more questions, and then we can sum things up. How do they get enough people to mentor?
Trying to remember.
How could they?
Advertising, or what do you mean, like?
Well, that's all the question says. How do they get enough people to mentor?
Like just advertising, you know, promotions, and.
I was thinking of something along almost like a referral idea. Managers tend to be in meetings together and know each other better in a company than other places. And I would say, just as an example, okay, my manager, Jan, meets with all the other managers at least once a month. Jan's willing to mentor, and Jan's already done the mentoring program. Ask Jan for 3 people that she would recommend and who she would think would be great mentors, and then go to them and ask them if this is something that they're interested in, something that they're willing to do, and use that same kind of idea with the invitation. Say, Jan's done this, Jan really likes it, she thinks it's great. Can you talk with her about it? Would you be willing to talk with Jan? Because she thinks you would be a great mentor also. And kind of that same idea.
So you use flattering.
It's very effective. It's very effective.
We talk about it a lot.
Let's have some more thoughts. What else could be done to bring in more mentors?
What about, I don't know, but what about like pay incentives? Would that remove the whole mentoring thing out of it though? But like maybe some people really, I mean, they're incentivized with.
I agree. I think money's a good incentive.
Yeah.
Well, really, we all think about an assignment and what will it benefit me? Will it be a church calling, or not in a selfish way, but like how can, you know, when it comes to work stuff especially. So it could be financial, it could be promotional, you know, could be a lot of things.
Well, and this is absolutely something that is something that they could put on their resume, you know, and incentivize it in a way that is most important to them. You know, if money is something that they're interested in, make that a possibility. I don't know that they're going to be willing to do that because banks are cheap. But
cool. Good. Well, thanks everyone for all of your input on this. I feel like we've had a great discussion. In summary, it asks us to, I'm supposed to ask you what each of you would do if you were in this scenario, maybe of Amy Rubenstein or Michael Moscow or Jack Wickstead. If you had to make some of these things happen, what would you do? And then the thought came to mind, hey, we've got our own chance to do this. We've got the Doohickeys Project. And so as we think of the suggestions that we have for this, be thinking of some pros and cons of this program and how it worked and things you saw that didn't work. Maybe keep an eye out for those too, you know. And then we're supposed to vote on the approach that we like the best for this mentoring program. And I thought that was kind of general. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time with that. But it doesn't say what approach. It just says have the team vote on the approach they like best. Do any of you have any thoughts on that? What we should do with that?
I don't know that we really compared to. I don't know that there's anything to vote between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're talking very specific things, it's just what I said earlier. I really like how they matched people, and I really like how they, what was the other aspect? My Alzheimer's, I'm sorry, it'll come back to me.
Here. So you like how they matched people up? Good. What else? What else?
Oh, yes, I remember now. It was voluntary. That was a big.
That it was voluntary. That's a big deal. In fact, that's another reason why I wanted to elaborate on the last section, because how do you get people to volunteer when they don't want to volunteer? You know, and so those incentives that we talked about, you know, some of the feedback was that I remember one employee, one mentor says that they got more satisfaction out of it than they thought that they would. That it was very rewarding was another comment. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it was personally rewarding. And then the ones who were the mentees, they said that they were able to explore new skills that they never, some of them developed confidence, some of them developed access to information they never would have dreamed that they could have found on their own because they were just told about it from their mentor. So those 4 hours a month and those, you know, it happens during the workday. It wasn't like that's another thing is they're already being paid and they're allotted the time. And so, you know, what's the success of it is, I think it comes from the people. They decide what they want to do. And then if there's a lot of exchange of information, like, hey, I'm having a great experience with my mentor or mentee, you know, we could go in asking people to share their positive experiences, share their difficulties too. But by that exchange, people can see the reality of what's happening. And that increases morale and enthusiasm. And that was a lot from the feedback that came. But okay, so we have it matched up people, that it was voluntary. You like those? What other things did you like about this mentoring program?
I liked that they had more than one style for meetings available. I really liked the idea of the circle mentoring where there was 6 to 10 people with 2. That's a way that you can expand the program without necessarily having more mentors available, is you could have kind of a cohort type situation. Cool. I think that's a good option.
Great. Other ideas? What else did you like? Well, I think we're there then. We've talked about it. You know, I brought up doohickeys. I know that you need to go, Kaylin. Last week, so last week we discussed recruiting. This week we're discussing developing, and next week we're discussing workplace safety. As we think about going into our doohickeys meeting, I guess be thinking what you like and what you want to elaborate and write about maybe. And Nathan, do you want some time turned over to you real quick, or should we just plan on talking more on Thursday at 9:30?
Yeah, just look at it and see what you want to do. And then we can go from there on Thursday.
Do you want us to start texting it in and say, hey, I'm interested in this? Like I already said, I'd like to talk about development. Is that okay? Do you want us to text in so we can start dibsing before the meeting?
That'd be fine.
Does everybody else want to do it that way, or do you want to wait to the meeting? Cool. Okay, well, I don't know. Oh, I don't have my list of questions to ask. Can you all, maybe, I had everything else and now I'm just remembering that I need to ask for feedback. What did you think of this meeting?
You did a great job, Connie.
Thanks,
I
Erin.
agree. I agree.
Hey,
You did a great job.
thank you. I appreciate everyone's input. You know, truthfully, really quick, last week I skimmed over the reading, and after I went back, I realized that I missed a lot. There were a few major details, and so that's why I wanted to send in a reminder yesterday to do the reading, and I just want you all to know that I can tell that you did it. And I feel like this was a great discussion. I feel like it was in depth. We covered the material really well, and I just want to thank everyone for all that you did to participate, because I felt like we had a great exchange. Anything that I could do differently?
I really appreciate how you gave us a reminder. I was on the way home from Florida in a horrible traffic, and when I heard that, I was like, yay, I can get this done. I totally forgot about it. So I was very grateful for the reminder.
Cool.
So that's how to be better, but I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Kaylin.
thank you so much for leading today.
You bet. I'm looking forward to next week, whoever gets to do it next week, and we'll just keep.
It is scheduled to be Nathan, but Nathan's kind of got the doohickey and the discussion. Do we want to have somebody volunteer to lead the discussion so that he is not stressed about doing both? Just a thought.
It's a good idea.
I don't mind doing it. I can do it, or doesn't matter.
Arlie, you willing to lead? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll have Arlie lead and have Nathan focused on the doohickey's paper, and that way he's not got the double whammy.
That's a good idea, because then Nathan's not